Hello, my name is Gary, and I was raised in the Western United States, so I'm a native English speaker. I hope that you will enjoy this YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us.
The Snail Girl. Once upon a time in a quiet village there lived a kind and hard-working young man. Sadly, he had lost both his parents when he was still a child, and ever since he had lived alone. He had no family, no wealth, and barely enough to eat. Each day he toiled for others, doing odd jobs just to earn a little food or a few coins. His home was small and cold. Often there was no fire burning in his stove and no rice in his bowl. Many nights he would go to bed hungry, staring up at the ceiling and wondering if life would ever get better. One evening after finishing work, he was walking home when he noticed something unusual by the side of the road. A bright, beautiful snail. Its shell gleamed in the fading sunlight, glowing with soft colours that seemed almost magical. Curious and strangely drawn to it, the young man gently picked up the snail and took it home. Not knowing what else to do, he placed it carefully in the water tank in his kitchen, thinking it might bring him some luck. The next day he left work as usual. When he returned home in the evening, something startled him. From a distance he saw smoke rising from his chimney. "That's strange," he thought. "I live alone. No one should be in my house, and I didn't light the fire before I left." Hurrying back, he stepped inside and was even more surprised. The fire in the stove was glowing warmly, and the air was filled with the smell of freshly cooked food. He lifted the lid of the pot, and there it was, a full pot of fragrant, steaming rice and a bowl of perfectly cooked vegetables. He looked around in confusion. Who could have done this? There's no one else here. Hungry and puzzled, he sat down and ate every bite. It was the best meal he had had in a long time. The same thing happened the next day, and the day after that. Each evening when he returned home, there was a warm fire, a pot of rice, and a bowl of vegetables waiting for him. He began to look forward to returning home, though the mystery of his secret helper stayed in his mind. After several days his curiosity grew too strong. One afternoon he decided to leave work early and return home before sunset. He crept quietly up to his house and stood outside the window, careful not to make a sound. Suddenly he heard something move inside. Peering in, he saw a golden shimmer flash across the room. To his astonishment, a young girl stepped out of the water tank. She had long flowing hair and wore a robe that shimmered like the snail's shell. Without a word she began to build a fire and prepare dinner. The young man watched in awe. So this was the one who had been cooking for him all along. He pushed open the door and rushed inside. "Wait, who are you?" The girl gasped in surprise, but when she saw the young man, her fear melted away. She lowered her head, her cheeks turning pink with embarrassment. He gently asked again, "Please tell me, who are you? Why do you live in my water tank? And why have you been so kind to me?" The girl looked up and smiled softly. "You are a good man. You work hard every day, but you come home to an empty house and go to bed hungry. I only wanted to help you." The young man was touched. Thank you for taking care of me. But how did you come to be here?" She hesitated, then said, "I didn't come by myself. You brought me here. I was the snail you found by the roadside. You placed me in your water tank, and because of your kindness, I was able to take this form." The young man suddenly remembered the shining snail he had picked up. Everything made sense now. The snail had been no ordinary creature. It was magical. From that day on, the two lived together. The snail girl and the young man grew close, and soon they became husband and wife. They worked side by side, cooked together, and shared each day with laughter and warmth. The young man was no longer lonely, and the house that once held only silence was now filled with joy. And so they lived happily ever after.
The Brahmin and the Goat. In a quiet village long ago lived a kind and devout Brahmin named Ravi. He was respected by all for his wisdom, humility, and deep devotion to the gods. One day, While preparing for an important religious ceremony, Ravi needed a goat to offer as a sacrifice. After much searching, he finally found the perfect one at the local market. The goat was healthy, sturdy, and had a glossy coat and bright, alert eyes. Pleased with his choice, Ravi paid the vendor, lifted the goat onto his shoulders, and started walking home. The sun was shining warmly, and the peaceful countryside stretched out on either side of the familiar path. Ravi walked contentedly, happy with the animal he had chosen. But as he passed beneath a large tree, he noticed 3 men resting in its shade. These were not innocent travelers. They were cunning thieves, always looking for someone to fool. When they saw the goat on Ravi's shoulder, they quickly came up with a plan to trick him into giving it up. As Ravi drew near, the first thief called out, "Good day, sir. But why are you carrying a dog on your shoulders? That seems strange for a holy man like you." Ravi blinked in confusion. "A dog? No, it's a goat," he replied, shaking his head and continuing on. But the thief's odd remark stuck in his mind. For a moment, he wondered why anyone would think that. A short distance later, he came across the second thief, who eyed the animal and said, "Excuse me, but are you sure that's a goat? From where I stand, it looks exactly like a dog." Now Ravi was beginning to feel uneasy. 2 people had said the same thing. He set the goat down and looked at it more closely. It still looked like a goat, but the comments had planted doubt. He stared at the animal, now unsure of what he was seeing. Soon after, the third thief appeared, shaking his head. "Oh dear, sir," he said with mock concern. "That's definitely a dog you're carrying. It's hard to believe you didn't notice." By now, Ravi was completely shaken. 3 strangers had all told him the same thing. Could they all be wrong? "Is it possible I've been mistaken?" he thought. Could something supernatural have changed the goat into a dog? Unable to trust his own senses, Ravi gave in to doubt. Feeling troubled and ashamed, he decided to leave the animal behind and go home to cleanse himself and reflect. The moment he left, the thieves rushed in, laughing at their success. They took the goat, still very much a goat, and quickly disappeared. Back at home, Ravi sat with a heavy heart. He couldn't explain what had happened, only that he had let the words of strangers overpower what he knew to be true. He had lost the animal meant for his ceremony, not through magic, but through misplaced doubt. Meanwhile, the thieves roasted the goat and enjoyed a grand feast, proud of how easily they had tricked an honest man. Moral of the story: don't let the repeated words of others shake your own understanding of the truth. Trust your judgment, especially when you know you're right. Doubt can be more dangerous than deception.